I clicked on space radiation effects on humans. I clicked on ionizing radiation in space. I clicked on ISS radiation experiments. They all go to this one fucking website. Okay? Now, everyone has to ask themselves, and I don't want to hear no ignorant damn responses. Oh, well, maybe just the web page is down. Bullshit. Because 6 months ago, this same fucking shit was up. And I called them and asked them, where's the information on your website regarding radiation, the effects on humans? This is the National Space Biomedical Research Institute. When I go to their website, they don't even have this document on there.
That's interesting.
So my final conclusion was this. Okay, wait a minute. If you don't even have this research on your website, then I can only come to one conclusion. Ain't nobody going to fucking space. Because you can't write about space radiation or ISS radiation experiments or ionizing radiation in space. And that's why I started getting focused on Van Allen. Because this guy was the grandfather. I mean, literally, he was the pioneer behind radioactive everything in the fucking atmosphere and in space. And that quote you just read reveals that he falsified his research. Period. Period. This guy, okay, claims, and let me show you this damn document right here. This guy claimed to have launched this rocket, 3 feet. It's a 3-foot rocket. It's not as big as you think it is. Okay? But this is a 3-foot rocket that he claimed to put on a balloon. Here goes the nose cone temperature probe, right? You got the subcarrier oscillators, the low power transmitters, the external temperature gauge, right? And the Geiger counter is in the middle. All right? It's a 3-foot rocket. All right? He claimed to get this fucking rocket into space at 20.
What altitude?
No, I'm gonna tell you. He said he launched the balloon, high altitude balloon, attached a rocket to it on a tether. The balloon gets the max altitude, whatever that was. I'm gonna say I'm gonna say back in the 1950s, I think they could get somewhere around maybe 150,000, 200,000 feet, just below the Kármán line, just below the Kármán line. Okay. Now a 3-foot rocket, that's not a big fucking rocket. That's not a big rocket. It doesn't have a lot of fuel either. So maybe it's got maybe a minute or two of fuel, but it's not going very far. He claimed to get one of these rockets to 2,400 kilometers, dude. That's over 1,300, dude. That's over 1,300 fucking miles.
That's ridiculous.
1,300 miles. That's what he said. That's what he said in one of his letters, bro. Let me see if I can fucking find the letter.
Oh my God.
Because it was a Western Union fucking telegraph. All right, here you go. Ionizing radiation at altitudes of 2,000 to 20,000 nautical miles. Pioneer 1. Okay? Pioneer 1.
They can't do that with ICBMs, can they? So how can they do it with some shitty thing like that?
The date of this document, okay? This is a lie. This is all bullshit. Because this shit was done October 11th, 1958. Now, you guys know my motto. It's not what you know, it's what you can prove. Here's the document right here in black and fucking white. I didn't draft it up. It's off the University of Iowa's fucking website. I didn't put it there. I didn't hack in to do it. All right? There'll be a lot of people who say, oh, that's all bullshit. Robert's fucking trying to fool us. No, I'll show you. I ain't trying to fool anybody. Okay? So get this. Let me pull up this doc. Oh, man, come on. Don't fuck me like this, man. Come on, dude. Oh, dude. Failed.
Oh, man. Google's going after you.
Oh, shit. Well,
it's that Windows 10, man.
Guys, is the Upper Atmosphere Research Report. It's dated August of 1954. Okay? I don't think nothing goes beyond 110 kilometers. That's just below
the Kármán line. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So when you talk about space, I don't think they could ever fucking get there. I don't think they could get to outer.
The Kármán line exists. Yeah.
No, the Kármán line exists, but I believe that was the limit. meaning that you couldn't go any further than that.
Engine stopped working. That's what it says.
Yeah, exactly. You had to be just below that, because if you try to go any further, shit's just gonna blow up. You ain't gonna get there. You ain't gonna get beyond that. So for me, it's not about if he possibly did. He fucking definitely did. He definitely falsified his research, because according to the U.S. Navy Research Laboratory report, August of 1954, if I can get this fucking document to come up, they did over 24 rocket tests, high altitude. High altitude. Oh, this Navy All Hands magazine, dude. Damn. Project Vanguard, all that bullshit. They never got anything 73 miles. Nothing. They never got anything. This is in 1954. Yeah. 1954. It was a 164-page fucking report, bro. They never got shit beyond 73 miles. Nothing.
Yeah,
period.
Most likely it's another density.
So when this guy says, okay, when this guy says ionizing radiation at altitudes to 2,000 to 20,000 nautical miles, come on, dude. He didn't discover no radiation belts at these altitudes. He didn't get to that. There's no way. You trying to tell me that this guy could launch a 3-foot rocket on a balloon from the football field of the University of Iowa in 1953, but the fucking Navy and the Army couldn't get anything to the same altitude using a fucking V-2 rocket or its sister, because they were building their own rockets to get to high altitude. Either the shit took off and it exploded before it got to max apogee, or it reached a specific limit, which was 73 miles, came back down, and it just fucking disintegrated. 73 miles, man. That's 10 miles above the Kármán. 10 miles.
Yeah.
They had been doing this shit constantly since the 1950s.
And then you know what's interesting about that 73 miles, that Go Fast rocket gets exactly to 73 miles, and it seems like it hit
and that's
something.
in the fucking 21st century, dude.
Yeah, and that was recent. A lot of people tried to say that footage, it was a yo-yo D-spin device on it, but it absolutely was not. There's footage of yo-yo D-spin devices, and they behave very differently. This seems like it hit a different density of fluid, or
you could hear the sound almost of that. Yep.
I'm telling you,
absolutely.
This shit is just blatantly insulting and absurd, because here's the deal. If when I was listening to Charlie Bolden yesterday, he was doing a conference. I was watching it on C-SPAN. He was saying how we spent 40 years just to even get fucking probes to Mars to just monitor shit, right? Take us 40 years because we keep advancing the technology. You tell me how in fucking 1953, this jackass, James Van Allen, professor of physics at University of Iowa, can fire off a rocket without the fucking military's permission on a football field at university, get it to 2,400, 10,000 kilometers, 20,000 miles, whatever the fuck it may be, on a balloon, right? Using a balloon to do it. And then 10 years later, you're telling me in one fucking decade, somehow we got this epiphany, and we were endowed with this advanced fucking technical knowledge to say, okay, let's put 3 motherfuckers on a Saturn rocket and fucking shoot their ass to the moon. That's 258,000 miles away.
Yeah. And in 1961, yeah, 1961, he's saying it's impossible. Impossible.
That's what I'm saying. This document is dated 1958. So 10 years later, we sent people to the fucking moon, and one word that they were gonna blow the fuck up after they got off the damn launch pad.
Yeah.
Come on.
I mean, there were Russian tests when they were sending monkeys and dogs up there. They were coming back liquefied. Like, these animals were coming back just as goop because they were putting up as high as they were.
This is all bullshit. This is false data. This is all fabricated fucking data. People still want to fucking believe that there are people out there 200 plus miles fucking in the sky. If there is something out there, there ain't no people up there. There's fucking robots. Just what I showed you. They got, NASA's got an entire fucking robotic program. The Robonaut. It can do it can do all that maintenance and testing shit on the ISS if it was really up there. But there ain't no people up. There ain't no people up there going through fucking 1,000. Put it this way, in 95 minutes, that's one orbit, right? If the ISS is up there and there's people up there, that means that in 95, let me see, how long does it take to do a fucking full body x-ray? I think it would take about 5-10 minutes to do a full body x-ray, right? Full body. You would be going through 50 fucking x-rays every fucking day for 1 month, 2 months, 3 months. When you get down on the ground, you don't know if you're shitting or pissing because both of them are liquid coming out of your fucking body. You fucked up. I've seen people on chemotherapy. I worked in an oncology department. I seen somebody go through fucking 3 months of chemo, dude, and they just couldn't even hold their fucking bowels, man.
Awful, yeah.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you're gonna tell me that the radiation up in space is not as intense, is less intense than somebody going through chemotherapy? Bullshit.
Yeah, you're
There
right.
is no
Bullshit,
space.
bro.
There is no space.
Agree.
We already said that.
That's why you see SpaceX and Virgin now just hitting something when they get up there, crashing, blowing up. Nobody's getting anywhere, it seems.
Dude, there ain't no radiation. I'm not saying that there's not radiation trapped over the South Atlantic. I'm not saying there is, because get this, what we're going to do on the next show, part 2, what we're going to do with part 2 for Van Allen is I'm going to show you guys this fucker's history. He was a former lieutenant commander. He got promoted to commander in the Navy. During the upper atmospheric nuclear tests they were doing, the detonations, this dude was on 6 different fucking Navy ships in the North Pacific, South Atlantic. And when I'll show you the chart of the dates and timelines where they were setting that shit off up in the atmosphere, he actually developed the firing fuse for those bombs. He was testing a new device. He was building a new firing fuse for the U.S. Army, all right, for the war. And they set off all these detonations, these hydrogen detonations, and trapped that radiation up in the atmosphere. So the South Atlantic anomaly, that the so-called claimed Van Allen radiation belts that are dipping down 200 kilometers off the coast of Brazil, it's not 200 kilometers. It's actually lower than that, but it's a result of that those detonations the Navy was actually recording and observing during that from the 1940s to the 1960s.
And that Van Allen was present for.
He was present for all of them. There was no fucking recorded radiation during that time frame. When they set off those bombs, right? Guess what? After they stopped setting off those bombs, Van Allen goes back, gets out of the Navy, goes back to the University of Iowa, becomes the head of the physics department, and then he starts launching these rockets to test the radiation up in the fucking atmosphere after they had already fucking blew that shit up in the sky.
And, you know, I mentioned last night, before I came across any of this information a year and a half ago, I was watching that documentary, Eternity and Beyond, you know, with all the nuclear explosions. And when we got to the point where they were showing Operation Fishbowl and the other upper atmosphere tests, I, like, freaked out, paused the movie, like, dug into crazy research. I'm like, why would they do that? The fallout would just stay within the ionosphere. It would seep down into certain areas. Like, my mind just went crazy on it. Made no sense to me. Made no sense to me.
It stayed up there trapped. It stayed up there trapped. I'm not saying there's no radiation up there, but I'm telling you here right now, there's a reason why they did that. And Van Allen's papers actually provide some proof, some evidence on why they went through those nuclear upper atmospheric tests. because I'm of the understanding now that, and I know this shit sounds far-fetched, but I think they knew when they were launching the rockets that there was some sort of fucking ceiling. They knew it.
Yeah.
Because Theodore von Karman and Henry Lorentz and Einstein and all those guys, they all got together in Austria. And they were talking about, you know, of course, the space and shit like that. And they wanted to know, hey, we've been launching these rockets. What's going on here? The Germans have been launching these V2s, but they keep hitting something. So all this research was shared. And here's what I think, because the U.S. wasn't the only one to do this upper atmospheric testing. Russia was doing this shit too.
Same time, yeah.
The Indians were doing it. The Pakistanis, everybody was doing this shit.
From what I understand, it was from 57 until about 62.
Yep, they were all doing it.
And that was when they came back from Antarctica, by the way.
Well, here is my conclusion, based on all this shit. I think they were trying to blow through the fucking first layer. They knew there were multiple layers, but they were trying to blow through the solid layer. They were trying to blow fucking through it. And I'm gonna tell you here right now, that fucking scares me, bro, to even think about that. You want to know why? Because had they succeeded, we probably wouldn't be alive today to talk about this shit.
Oh, it's madness. It's men with power doing it.
They were literally trying to blow us all the fuck up.
Yeah, that's what I thought when I first saw that footage. I was like, are you kidding me? Why would they ever do something like, even if it was, see, I was still in the globe paradigm when I saw it. I was like, they're going to blow a hole through the ionosphere. You know, like I knew there was danger to it.
That's absolutely crazy, dude. Because when you look at these explosions, these hydrogen explosions they were setting off, when you look at the very apex, the top of that plume created, it forms a fucking perfect dome mushroom, dude.
It does. It looks like it's spreading out, like it's hit something and it's spreading
not going
out.
higher. It's not going high. It reaches a limit and then it spreads out.
And you see the center point of the concentration, and then you see the flames spread outward, like a sprite or an L.
Exactly.
You know, with
it's
lightning.
hitting a layer. It's hitting something completely, and if that was meant to go out into a vacuum, imagine that being a vacuum, that would have been sucked straight out if that was.
That's what I'm saying. I think that they tried to blow us all the fuck to hell.
It's madness.
And they were using, and get this, if they were using hydrogen bombs, and then they created the you know that Van Allen, his actually technology, what he developed, became part of the fucking Manhattan Project. They're like, shit, you can't do it with a fucking huge hydrogen bomb. You need something more powerful. You need something more powerful. They were trying to create a more powerful fucking high energy detonation, okay? Saying, fuck, we can't do it with hydrogen, man. And then eventually they said, you know, we got to stop this shit. They instituted the Nuclear Test Ban Treaty, right, for upper atmosphere, and they started doing that shit underground. They started doing this shit underground and in the water, in the oceans.
Yep.
I'm now of the belief these motherfuckers in the government want to get the fuck off this planet as bad as we do. They're trying to do a fucking prison break, man. They're trying to, hey, they're literally working on a prison break.
Yeah, man.
They can't get out the top, so
like,
we'll try down below in the water, right down where the density gets really heavy at the bottom. We'll have a go down there.